بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. Alhamdulillah, we've made it to the last 10 nights of Ramadan, and we are now at the midway point of the last 10 nights. For some of us now it's a realization that we have not made the most of the first 20 nights of Ramadan. We have not made the most of the first half, the last 10. And it's now a realization for us to change and to approach the last few nights of Ramadan different. For some of us, we may have got into the routine of the last few nights, but now it's the last few sort of miles of the sprint. It's the lot of the marathon. It's the last few seconds of a sprint. It's the last few moments of Ramadan. And for anyone that lived through Ramadan and someone that wants to maximize their reward in Ramadan, this is the time where the actions intensify. This is the time where we put in a lot more effort than we did. This is the time we try to make up as much as we can for what we've missed out on previously before Ramadan and the ajr that we missed out on in Ramadan. Ibn al-Qayyim al-Jawziyya rahmatullah alayhi said that when the racehorse knows that it's nearing the end of the track, it exerts all of his effort to win the race. Do not allow the racehorse to be more clever than you. Do not be fooled. Do not be a fool. Do not be someone that even a horse, an animal that Allah Azza wa Jal created is smarter than you. And we know Allah Azza wa Jal says, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. We've given blessings, we've given special we've created Bani Adam, we've sort of given them and granted them blessings and special blessings, and we've favored them over the rest of our creation. Do not be someone that's a fool in comparison to the rest of creation of Allah Azza wa Jal. A horse knows that when it sees the final deadline and the final line and the hurdle, it pushes itself, it exerts more energy. And then he said that, Ibn Qayyim said that deeds are judged by their conclusions, as the Prophet ﷺ said. So if you did not do well in welcoming Ramadan, perhaps you will do better in bidding it farewell. Some of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, such as Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, he said something similar to the effect that it's just like the horse race was given a lot more effort towards the end. He used to put in so much effort in his ibadah towards the end of his life. Some of the companions came to him and said, "You've hit old age, you've worshipped Allah Azza wa Jal all of your life, and you've been a companion of the Prophet ﷺ, and he lived long after the Prophet ﷺ." Said, "Now is your time. Slow down." And he said that what I have left from my life is less than what I've spent. So why would I slow down now? Now is the time to maximize. And similarly, we say what we have left from Ramadan is far less than what we've spent from Ramadan. So now is the time to maximize on that. Now is the time to make the most of it. And it's all seeking one night, one blessed night. One blessed night that Allah Azza wa Jalla says is greater than 1,000 months. This very night, the Prophet ﷺ and his companions spent a whole month doing i'tikaf, seeking this one night, one whole month. And it's narrated that, I believe, in the third year of Al-Hijrah, that the Prophet ﷺ spent the first 10 days of Ramadan in i'tikaf. And he thought that the first 10 days of Ramadan would have Laylatul Qadr in it. Jibreel came to him after the first 10 days and he said, إِنَّ الَّذِي تَطْلُبُهُ أَمَامَكَ. What you seek is still ahead of you. So the Prophet ﷺ stayed this middle 10 days of Ramadan and the companions stayed. And then at the end of the middle 10 days of Ramadan, Jibreel came back to the Prophet ﷺ that told him that it is still ahead of you. The night that you seek is still ahead of you. The Prophet ﷺ came out to his companions. He said, Inni urituha. I have seen it. I've been shown Laylatul Qadr. And verily, it's in the last 10 nights of Ramadan. And then he said, if anyone wants to do i'tikaf, let them do i'tikaf for me. The Prophet ﷺ used to, as we've mentioned, that in these nights, that the Prophet ﷺ would stay up and he would be a lot firmer in his ibadah than he was previously on the other nights. And the Prophet ﷺ would dedicate much more. كَانَ يُحْيِي اللَّيْلِ. He used to stay up for the whole night. The Prophet ﷺ would pray Qiyam al-Layl all throughout the year. But when these 10 nights came, he would stay up the whole night. And then he used to wake up his wives, he used to wake up his family. And it was said that when he ﷺ was in i'tikaf, he used to send messengers to the houses of his wives. And he used to send messengers to the houses of his daughters, such as Fatima radiallahu anha, to wake them up so that they don't miss out on this reward. The Prophet ﷺ was seeking this one night, and for us living in the 21st century, often the discussion isn't around how we can maximize the last 10 nights of Ramadan. The discussion is which night is it? What signs do we see to know which night is it, and what night do you think it is? And taking somewhat, it's become a bit of a guessing game. What do you think? Someone believes it's the 23rd, someone believes it's the 27th, someone thinks it might be the 29th, some believe that it's alternating on different nights. And Al-Hafidh ibn Hajar, rahmatullah alayhi, in his book, he wrote that there are 40 different opinions of what night Laylatul Qadr could be. Some believe that it's between the 21st and the 23rd. Some believe it's between the 23rd to the 29th. Some believe that it's even some of the odd nights. And some believe that it changes from year to year. Al-Hafidh ibn Hajar said there's over 40 different opinions, scholarly opinions. We shouldn't bother ourselves in terms of thinking what night could it be, or what night it might not be. What we should spend our time in doing is that making sure that we maximize it. We maximize it by 3 acts of worship, and if we have more acts of worship, then surely Allah Azza wa Jalla will reward. But 3 acts of worship that the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam emphasized on, and the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam performed more of. Because when Aisha radiallahu anha asked him, she said, "Oh Messenger of Allah, you see, if I make it to Laylatul Qadr, what should I do? What should I say?" Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that, say, "Allahumma innaka afuun tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anni." Oh Allah, you are forgiven and you love forgiveness, so forgive me. Or you pardon and you love pardoning, so pardon me. A dua that if you make it to Laylatul Qadr, make sure that you mention this dua. Dua is the first worship that we should focus on. It's said that Laylatul Qadr means the night of decree, and it's said to be the night of decree that Allah Azza wa Jalla decrees in that night what's going to happen over the next year. The qadr of the people over the next year. And if we go by this narration, then we should ask Allah Azza wa Jalla for all of the good that we want. As Muslims, this night should be a night that we aim to make sure that we make the most of it for the upcoming year, that we ask Allah Azza wa Jalla for what we want. Whatever our plans are, whatever we want to do, whether it's change a job, whether it's sort of earn more money, buy something, save up for a house, whatever it may be, this is the night to ask Allah Azza wa Jal. However, do not make it a night. Do not be from those people that say, "Rabbana atina fid dunya hasana." Oh our Lord, give us good in this dunya. But rather be from those people that say, "Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanatan wa fil akhirati hasana wa qina adhab an-nar." Oh our Lord, give us good in this dunya, give us good in the akhirah, and prevent us or pardon us from the punishment of the hellfire. Such dua is, Allah Azza wa Jalla encourages the people that go to Hajj in Arafah to make such dua. However, us Muslims, if we are on the hunt for the greatest night of the year, then we should ask Allah Azza wa Jalla for such. And we should make sure that we ask Allah Azza wa Jalla not once, not twice, every single night of the last 10, and whatever's remaining of Ramadan. And we don't ask Allah Azza wa Jalla by making a short dua whenever we can. We dedicate time in the night. We seek the times of the night that are best. We seek the last third of the night that Allah Azza wa Jal comes down in, and He asks, He said, "Does anyone have anything to ask so that I may give them? Is anyone seeking any forgiveness so I may forgive them?" We seek the last third of the night. We sit in submission to Allah Azza wa Jal, pleading from Allah Azza wa Jal and asking Him that He may forgive us. This is the night of forgiveness. This is the night of worship, and the Prophet ﷺ said in a hadith in Ibn Majah, "Ad-du'a huwa al-ibadah." Dua is worship. And we know that the ayah that Allah Azza wa Jalla revealed in the Quran, وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي عَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ أُجِيبُ دَعْوَةَ الدَّاعِ إِذَا دَعَانِ. If my servants, if my slave ask you about me, then tell them I am close. I answer the prayer of my servants when they call upon me. This dua, this ayah was revealed in the middle of the ayat of fasting. Before it, by 3 ayahs, Allah Azza wa Jalla speaks about Ramadan, speaks about fasting, and the ayah after it speaks about Ramadan and speaks about fasting, to show that these matters are interlinked, to show that and there's a great link. And for you to ask Allah Azza wa Jalla for something, you have to come to Allah Azza wa Jalla with pure heart. إِلَّا مَنْ أَتَى اللَّهَ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ. Come to Allah Azza wa Jalla with pure heart. Everyone sins. And one of the greatest deceptions of shaitan is that you're a sinner, why would Allah Azza wa Jal forgive you? And wallahi, I was reading a message today from a brother that said, "I don't pray and I forget to pray, I feel like khalas, that's it. There's no hope for me." And this is the point that the shaitan wants all of us to reach. That there's no hope for you. But Indeed, there is hope. And Allah Azza wa Jal answers the prayer of anyone that calls upon Him. And this is the time to call upon Allah Azza wa Jal. Call upon Allah Azza wa Jal, whether it's something worldly or whether it's something for your akhirah. And from the best of du'as, we remember Allahumma innaka afuwwun tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anni. The second action is Qiyam al-Layl. Standing up in prayer, standing up in nightly prayer. As we mentioned, the Prophet ﷺ used to stand up in prayer and used to wake up his family, used to wake up his wife, his daughters, ﷺ, so that they may pray. And then he used to pray as well, and the companions used to pray with the Prophet ﷺ at certain times, and they used to pray after the Prophet ﷺ passed away in their houses with their families. Do not be from someone that prays and maximizes their prayer but forgets that they have families that they have to remind to pray. Forget that they have parents that they have to remind to pray. Forget that they have siblings that they have to remind to pray. Allah Azza wa Jalla may have blessed you by being the most practicing in your family. Do not take it for granted. Make sure that you ask Allah Azza wa Jal to guide everyone else and to make sure that you keep you steadfast. But make sure that if you are someone that's blessed by being the most practicing or apparently practicing in your family, you maximize the efforts, because anyone that you make sure prays, you get the reward of them. You tell your parents to pray and they pray, you get the reward. You tell your siblings to pray and they pray, you get the reward. You tell your kids to pray and they pray, you get the reward, and your partners, and so on and so forth. Dua and prayer this is the time of it. And in the hadith of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, he says, "Man qama laylat al-qadr imanan wa ihtisaba, ghufira lahu ma taqaddama min dhanbi." And added bonus is that if you stand up in prayer, imanan wa ihtisaba, seeking Allah Azza wa Jall's forgiveness and seeking Allah Azza wa Jall's reward, the sins that you committed previously, all of these sins will be forgiven. So for someone that feels like they haven't come to Allah Azza wa Jalla with the cleanness of slate, this is the time to get your sins wiped. And Laylatul Qadr is the night of the Quran. Allah Azza wa Jalla says, "Inna anzalnahu fi laylatul qadr." Verily, we revealed this Quran on the night of power, on Laylatul Qadr. This Quran, that very night that Allah Azza wa Jalla revealed this Quran to our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the cave, that night changed the future of mankind. It changed everything. From that night, it was a Furqan, it was a criterion. Allah Azza wa Jalla split two people, one party that went and believed in the Quran, Allah Azza wa Jalla will reward with Jannah, and one party that disbelieved, and this split will remain up until the Day of Judgment. The Quran was sent as a criterion. Allah Azza wa Jalla, in the Quran, the only surah He named by a name of the Quran was Surah Al-Furqan, which defines it as the criterion. And this Quran, from that day on, changed the life of the Prophet ﷺ, changed the lives of his companions, and surely it's changed our lives. It's touched our lives. It's made us from those that believe in La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. This Quran guided the companions of the Prophet ﷺ. Some of them used to be abusers. Some of them used to have histories, and the worst of histories pre-Islam. However, after they accepted Islam, they became a nation and a generation that changed the face of the earth, that spread Islam within half a century across all of the parts of the globe. They became a generation that put La ilaha illallah first through this Quran, through this revelation. This Quran made a difference. And the question is, does this Quran make a difference in your life? Does this Quran make a difference in my life? Or are we just people that recite the Quran and it doesn't pass our throats? That's all we do. Just read the verses of the Quran. We don't think, we don't ponder. There's a reward in reading the verses of the Quran. For every letter that you read, you get the reward. However, do not forget that this Quran could be a witness either for you or against you on the Day of Judgment. When you read these verses that enjoin you to do good, and then you go and do bad and do evil. When you read these verses to tell you not to transgress, and then you go and transgress. When you read these verses that tell you to act a certain way, to believe in a certain thing, and then you don't, this will come against you on the Day of Judgment. When you read the verses that tell you aqimus salah, establish the prayer, but when Ramadan finishes, you go back into a routine of no prayer, this will come against you on the Day of Judgment. When you read the verses that tells you give, anfiqu, and then you still feel stingy with your money, and the Quran hasn't really influenced you. The Quran hasn't really changed you. When reading the Quran, we read these verses with an open heart and an open mind. We think and we ponder on what we read. And based on that, we act upon that. This Quran on the Day of Judgment, surely will come as a witness for every single one of us. And that testimony is dependent on how we act upon the Quran now. It's dependent on how we read the Quran now and how we implement it. This month of Ramadan, most of it has gone. However, blessed nights are left. These 10 nights are the best 10 nights of the year. And we ask Allah to make us from those that maximize our efforts and our ibadah in these 10 nights. However, Laylatul Qadr may have passed in the first few nights, or it may just come, it may be tonight, it may be tomorrow, it may be the day after, or up until the end of Ramadan, any night up until the end of Ramadan. Make sure that you as a Muslim, if you've made the most of it so far, maximize and continue to do so. And if you haven't made the most of it so far, sit down with yourself, reflect today before Maghrib, or whenever you hear this reminder, reflect. What haven't you made? Why haven't you made the most of it? And from there on, go and change your life. Act upon it. Make a difference. And we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to make this Ramadan the Ramadan that transforms us. And we ask Him to make us from those that maximize on our good deeds in these last nights. هذا والله أعلى وأعلم ونسبة العلم إليه أسلم. أيها المسلمون إن الله أمركم بأمر بدأ فيه بنفسه وثنى بملائكته ثبت بكم أيها المسلمون فقال إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. The salahs, the salutations of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam are some of the greatest du'as that we should not forget in these blessed nights. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told one of the companions, he said, send prayers and salutations upon me in your dua. He said, what portion of my dua should I make it? Should it be a quarter or should it be a third? I don't remember the exact wording of the hadith. The Prophet ﷺ said more. He said, should I make it a half? The Prophet ﷺ said more, and so on. And he said, whatever you make, it's still, you could do more. So make sure that you set a portion of sending prayers and salutations on the Prophet ﷺ on every day and make it a part of your daily routine. And don't forget your adhkar before after Fajr, Adhkar al-Sabah, and before Maghrib, Adhkar al-Nasa, and then Adhkar after every single Salah, Adhkar when going to sleep, and remembering Allah Azza wa Jalla in these blessed nights. May Allah Azza wa Jalla make us from those that He frees from the hellfire in these blessed nights. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.